Let's get started. So again, I'm Amanda Gerrie. I'm co-founder of Pathways Consultants and Career Hub. We're a consulting firm located in Oakland, California, and we focus on youth and adult workforce development, capacity building, coaching, training. We do a lot of workshops, facilitation. We're going to be your technical assistance providers today, along with my colleague Ruth Barajas, who is the Director of Workforce and Reentry at Bay Area Community Resources. Ruth, are you by chance on today? I can't see all the different folks on. Yeah, not yet. I'll let Ruth introduce herself a little later when she joins. So we partner with Bay Area Community Resources to provide technical assistance to the Workforce Accelerator Fund. And then I'm here with my colleague Shauna Wright, who was speaking earlier, who will be working with us here at Pathways Consultants. She's the Principal and Chief Possibilities Officer, I love your title, Shauna, at Growing Big Ideas. So thank you all for being here today. Please continue to introduce yourself in the chat. Your name, the organization you're at, and where you are in the state, because we have representation from throughout the whole state here today. Welcome to the Workforce Accelerator Fund. I love the Workforce Accelerator Fund. I've been connected to Accelerator since 1.0 in some capacity or another. It's a really special community. I've never seen anything like it in workforce development. It really focuses on developing not just you and your innovative projects, but creating community and connection between all of you. And I've seen some of those relationships flourish over time. The focus on that community connection and the focus on innovation, collaboration, and systems change makes Workforce Accelerator Fund really different from other grants that you may have been a part of. And I'm really honored to continue to be part of this work in WAF 10.0. It's really something. These are just some pictures from past events. We've had a lot in the last couple of years of Zoom events, but we've often gotten together twice a year in person in accelerators in the past. So I've added some pictures of other events that we've had. So our agenda for today, you're going to learn a little bit about the Workforce Accelerator Fund technical assistance offerings. Meet the TA team. A number of our team members are on today. Hear a little bit about how past projects have leveraged coaching, and share some of your ideas and needs. We have a tool that we'll be using to gather some of your topics that you might be interested in exploring through our time together. And then we'll discuss some next steps on how to connect and have some time at the very end for Q&A. And I'm happy to hang out if you have questions. Hopefully this will be an informative hour for you. I'm going to pause sharing for a minute. All right, now I can see everybody. I want to welcome our WAF team, introduce our coaches who are on today. Go ahead, if you're one of our WAF coaches, introduce yourself in the chat. I'm not sure who all's on. I can see Angela Gardner is here. Hi, Angela. And Shauna Wright is here. Hey, Shauna. Lysandra Dial is here with us today. Greetings. Hi, Lysandra. See Matt Poland is here. Hey, Matt. JR Roberson. Hey, JR. Thank you for being here today. These are all of our WAF coaches. You'll see them throughout our time together in our peer learning communities or possibly one-on-one meetings. And I'll share in a little bit bios of all of our coaching team who's on board right now. And then I want to thank our California Workforce Development Board partners, Annalise Burney, not sure who all's on today, Craig White. Hey, Craig, nice to see you. Maisha Lampkin, there's Maisha, and Chan Se Chow. Thank you all for being here with us today. And like I also mentioned, Daniel Ikejemba will be with us, our videographer, throughout our time together. He's going to be recording a number of our peer learning communities and presentations so that you can access them later. So before we get started on sort of the nuts and bolts of our presentation, we thought we'd do just a really brief warm-up activity. Shauna's going to lead us through that. Shauna, are you there?
Yes, good morning. So we thought it would be good to do a little warm-up activity. It's early afternoon. I don't know about you, but I know after a little bit of lunch, sometimes my brain starts to fog up and I get a little bit sleepy. So I think this is going to be a good opportunity for us to kind of understand who's in the room and who we're serving. So it may be difficult to participate if you are on a cell phone, but if you're on your desktop, and if you go down to your bottom menu, you'll see a little smiley face that says reactions. And I'm going to be asking you some questions, and I will direct you whether you should raise your hand, which is the long spacebar looking one on the bottom, or I'll be directing you to choose a heart, which is one of the emojis across the top. So we'll start off with, how many of you are new to the Workforce Accelerator Fund as a grantee? Raise your hand. Wow, quite a few. That's awesome. Congratulations. We're so glad that you're here. Now I'm going to ask how many have been a grantee of a different grant initiative other than the Workforce Accelerator Fund? And you're going to show us that by choosing the heart emoji. That gives everyone a chance to get their hands down.
With the state board. Okay.
Okay, I see a couple. Awesome. All right, the next question is, and this is representing Amanda's territory. Let me have you put your hand up if you are from NorCal. Filling out numbers.
We're gonna start a fight here.
And then the last question I'm going to ask to warm us up is, use your heart emoji, because we love SoCal as well. Put a heart up if you're from SoCal or currently located in SoCal. But if you'd like to claim SoCal, even though you have migrated north, I'm okay with that too. I love it. Hopefully we'll all get to meet in person at some point. Wonderful. So now I want to just ground us in who we're serving, just to get an idea. There's so many amazing proposals. And so we're going to do a quick poll. So it says, who does your accelerator project serve? And you can choose more than one, but we just wanted to get a sense of what populations are being represented with your projects.
And if we missed anybody, these are from the grant itself, add it to the chat.
Yes, please add it to the chat. Light it up in the chat if we have missed anything. Okay, we're about 60% participation. A lot of homeless and housing insecure immigrants, 23%. We're at 74%. I'm going to give about 5 more seconds. So get your last second votes in. Okay, and we're going to end the poll. It looks like we have about 15% for English language learners, 44% homeless and housing insecure, 26% immigrants, lights of justice involved. It looks like we're pretty much tied with youth, veterans and justice involved, and also individuals with disabilities. Did we miss anyone? If we missed any populations that you're serving, please let us know in the chat.
This is the most youth serving programs I've seen in Accelerator for a while. That's different. Wow, welcome. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And we're so glad to meet you all and learn a little bit more about you this afternoon. I keep
I guess we do mostly morning presentations, huh, Shauna?
Well, the sun is out and it's shining so brightly that in my mind it's still morning.
We did some quick factoids to share with you about this cohort, WAF 10.0, and Shauna and I kind of put our brains together on this. There are 37 grantees across California. I think there might actually be 36, but I think the last count was 37. You're the largest cohort yet of Workforce Accelerator Fund. We always call it WAF. I've heard other people call it WAF. It's $9.6 million in grants. 2 of you have a dental focus. 4 have a focus on food access. One focuses on virtual reality training and hemp. I'm very interested in that one. Two have a focus on forestry. 8 are apprenticeship programs. And 2 programs that I saw, there could be others, but I think this is right, are statewide. They're across the whole state. I mapped everybody on Google Maps so I could see where we might have overlap and where grantees were located. And so that's a map of all of your locations, but those statewide folks might be serving other locations. All right, so I'm going to stop here for just a second. We'll talk about, so I thought we'd just talk a little bit about what technical assistance is, and my colleagues from the state board will be sharing a little bit too, and I'm going to introduce you to some of our coaches as well. So Workforce Accelerator Fund Technical Assistance is designed to be a thought partner in your projects. We're here to provide project support that's technical in nature, and we're really an extension of the state's capacity to support all of you. These are short grants. Accelerator, it really is fast. Before you know it, it's done. And we're here to help make those connections, help make introductions, help you find resources and information, help you learn along the way. We're really an extension of the state board, and we're here to help you accelerate through these grant projects. We work in concert with our colleagues at the California Workforce Development Board. Maisha, would you be willing to share a little bit about the distinction between our role and yours and how to think about that for them?
Yes, thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being with us today. Just as Amanda mentioned, TA is an extension of the CWDB's capacity. So by way of providing targeted expertise and support for furthering the broad initiatives within your projects. These are the project-specific goals and outcomes, things like that. We like to think of them as like our field experts, right? Things that you need help making connections with out in the field. We do want to make note that the board is the primary and main contact for the grant program. That being said, we are the liaison between all of the units that help to see the support and service go for the Accelerator grant program. Some examples of what you would reach out to us about is anything and everything, but to put it into some categories, it would be your reporting questions. So anytime you have anything come up regarding narrative reports or reporting any sort of participant related data or expenditure related data into the CalJobs system. That's a great segue into if you need assistance with CalJobs, technical assistance, you should definitely reach out to us so that we can assist with that. In addition to, but not limited to, right, the allowable uses of funding. Anytime you have any sort of project development or implementation guidance, questions, course corrections and adjustments, or any sort of modification requests, we want to be sort of the main point, and also make sure that all of our partners are assisting you in the most appropriate and timely fashion. So you want to keep us involved. We're staffing up here at the board, so we have a lot of new faces and some new help on board. So we're always here and always happy to help you. Amanda and our TA team has been really good at bridging the gap. So when we are made aware that it is a technical assistance related type question or issue, we'll definitely make sure to make that connection and loop in our partners with the technical assistance team and vice versa. They've been really good about redirecting programmatic related questions to the board so that we can help facilitate that guidance. We are running a very compliant based program. If you've been a part of Accelerator for a while now, that might have been a shift or a learning curve, right? But we're definitely here to just ensure success for everyone involved. Anything to add to that, Amanda?
I just want to say that Shauna put the WAF email in the chat in case you forgot it, or even if you have a TA question, you can always go to that one email box and it's great. They will route it to the right place. That's all you have to remember, is that waf@cwdb.ca.gov. It will get routed to the right location, your question. So
yes, thank you.
Thanks, Maisha. So let's get into my presentation here. So I just wanted to share a little bit about what our intent is as WAF technical assistance. This is a modified version of our logic model. We've developed a logic model for how we think about what WAF TA is doing for the grantees. So if you look at the top, what we provide is coaching and technical assistance training, and capacity building, and communities of practice. And what we hope you're going to experience are the things on the bottom. Grantees will engage in big ideas and new ways of thinking about and planning for their projects. Timely course corrections, we're here to help. If you're having a challenge, let's see if we can troubleshoot and put our heads together. Grantees access emerging practices and evolving models. We're always bringing in experts to share and develop this culture of learning and innovation and this mindset. So this is what we do. And these are the offerings. This grant cycle is kind of the how we do it. So we will offer 2 communities of practice. These are an opportunity for us to get together. We usually bring in guest speakers, presenters. They can be in kind of a webinar format. This is where we might bring in some of our fantastic national experts. There's usually built-in time for networking. Our first community of practice will be virtual, October 25th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So there'll be more information forthcoming with that. In the past, these have been in-person events with speakers and chances to collaborate. We are still continuing our virtual service offerings for this grant cycle. The date for number 2 hasn't been set yet, but so save the morning of October 25th. We have some fantastic speakers we're already engaging. The other thing we'll be offering is peer learning communities. So these are structured spaces for peer-to-peer learning, sharing best practices, community building, a chance to celebrate successes and lessons learned. We've in the past invited past grantees to be presenters, as well as our coach team presents at these events. These will kick off in December. So every other month, starting in December 2022, and I'll get those dates out to you. They'll be every other month starting in December. After December, it'll be the last Tuesday of the month, probably from 10 to 11:30. We'll keep it the same time. It just doesn't work in December for that time. Other offerings, under the bucket of knowledge sharing and dissemination, we're developing a video library. So all of our presentations will be recorded and they'll be shared on the YouTube channel for the state. We'll also have them on Pathways Consultants website as well. You should have all been received an email message directly from me. That's our mailing list. The state helps us keep that up to speed with your SPOC forms. This, gosh, I can't remember what SPOC stands for. Single person? No, it's the contact form. What was it, Maisha?
Specific point of contact.
Here we go. So we maintain a mailing list, so you'll get emails for all of the events. If there are additional people that you would like to invite for events, we're open to that. Let us know. We can add additional people to the mailing list, but the state will also ask, our colleagues at the state board will also be making sure that that SPOC list is maintained and updated as staff changes. And then we'll be doing feedback and check-ins with all of you. So quarterly, we'll be reaching out to all of you to check in on if you need any coaching or TA support, as well as gathering feedback along the way from events. We also work with an independent evaluator who helps us create our feedback surveys at the very end of the year to look at the impact that TA has had on Accelerator. So you might get a survey at the very end of your time as part of this WAF 10.0 cohort. And then last but not least is our coaching and affinity groups. So we have kind of 2 different ways that we can provide support to, individualized support to all of you. We have what are called coach mentors. Our team has primarily provided this type of coaching. Since this cohort is so big this time, we're going to do it a little bit different. So coach mentor is a thought partner. It's somebody who works with you throughout your grant cycle and maybe has a connection either geographically or programmatically, or has expertise that you were looking for. That coach mentor can work with you for up to 20 hours in the grant cycle. Or if you don't want to work with a coach over the whole grant cycle, you can tap into our coaches for subject matter expertise. If there's enough, and those are like short-term 2 or 3 hour coaching consultations with our coaching team on a specific topic that maybe you are struggling with or would like to learn more about. If there's enough people, like say for a good example right now, a lot of people have been talking about outreach and recruitment challenges. We might put together a small affinity group led by one of our coaches. So that might be 2 or 3 grantees working together, sharing peer-to-peer what you're learning, as well as trying to learn best practices, identify new and emerging practices as challenges emerge. So these are the 2 types of coaching. So coach, mentor, or subject matter expertise. And so I will be following up with all of you. I have a coaching form that I'll ask you to fill out if you're interested in one of these types of coaching. I'm going to pause here. And because coaching is kind of elusive, I've invited some of our coaches to share how past projects have tapped into coaching and their expertise. So it gives you kind of opens up your imagination as to how you might be able to leverage this resource. So I will invite James. Would you be willing to go first? He told me earlier he didn't want to, so.
What I said was I was shy, Amanda. I'm shy.
I said I was shy too.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Walker. My company is actually called Diogenes Community Solutions, and I've had the pleasure of working with Amanda and WAF since 6.0, somewhere in there. And so excited to have been a coach and be a coach, hopefully this round as well. I was asked to talk a little bit about kind of background and then experience with coaching. So I kind of cut my teeth in HIV prevention and treatment, positive youth development, violence prevention, workforce. I've had an opportunity to kind of go the gamut in terms of providing services to communities that's been disconnected from services. And so working with those populations has been a pleasure and has really given me a lot of information, insight to share with other organizations. You know, when Amanda asked this question to share, I was thinking, well, what do I want to talk about? So I'll just say a few things. And I think you've heard it mentioned already. One is connection. And when I'm thinking about connection and WAF, there are a couple of things that come in mind. Some of you might be architects. You wrote the grant for your organization. You already have an idea about what's supposed to happen and how you envision the work happening. Some of you may not be the architects and you are the implementers. And sometimes there's a disconnect between what the architects wrote and what the implementers are asked to actually do, because you're working with the population. And so part of the role sometimes of coaches is to help you all kind of assess and tease through that so that there's greater alignment around what the architects intended and what you all know as implementers. The other piece is around implementation itself, that connection, and how are you actually using and leveraging and doing your work in a way where it really leads to the outcomes you've identified in your grant. And ultimately to help your target audience. That's what we're trying to do. And so that's the other way that as a coach, we can be supportive, is really working with you in that fashion, is to think about program implementation and how does it tie to outcomes. We are thought partners is how I like to look at it. And in that sense, what that really means for me is that there's an exchange of ideas. Yes, I have experience, but everyone comes in with it. I think most of the coaches would say that. So it's about sharing our personal prep and professional experience to help support you in moving forward. And how the work has kind of happened for me, some of the ways that I've worked with organizations over the last 4 years is assisting in developing evaluation tools, assessing organizational readiness about implementation of their programs. And sometimes that's meant taking a step back and saying, hey, wait a minute, there's some more work that we need to do before we can actually implement. Developing implementation tools. So as they've started, what else do you need in order to be successful working with your target audience? Facilitating trainings, and then finally doing content development for organizations. So I've had a chance to do quite a bit with my WAF organizations, love them to death, and just would say good luck to you all. 2 minutes, Amanda, am I good? All right, solid.
Thank you, James.
All right.
Much appreciated. Let's see, Angela, would you be willing to go next?
Certainly. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angela Gardner, and I have to say this in my introduction, at least give me 8 more months and you'll know why in a minute, because I'm a brand new grandma and she's only 4 months old. So I am the president of Workforce Development Solutions Incorporated, located in Southern California. Specifically, I'm in Southern Riverside County now. I'm excited about that, right on the border of Riverside and San Diego County. And thanks for all those congratulations. I've been a part of WAF thanks to, I always give a shout out, give credit where credit is due, right? Thanks to Larry Robin. Amanda, remember? Great friend of—
I forgot about that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Great friend of ours. I met Larry when I was vice president of something at Goodwill, Southern California. Long story short, he connected me when I stepped out into consulting in 2016 with Amanda and Kim. So I believe that was 4.0, but it was about the fall of 2016. Some of the ways projects have leveraged my expertise, because I worked for an organization that I think created other duties as assigned. And I think I had 9 different positions there. And the last 2 were VP of Workforce Development, which was multiple departments, about a $21 million budget. And then last was business services. But I had done a lot of things, right? So folks have leveraged my expertise in this coaching arena. I've done a lot of assisting with business engagement and business services. And that makes me really happy and excited, as you can tell. And part of that includes helping folks plan and implement, set up a version of, for lack of a common term, a business advisory council, where they invite local businesses to advise them maybe once a quarter. That's been pretty successful. One was specifically for a particular group of customers, say like veterans. You could do one for youth. So that's been very, very helpful. Another area, because I spent 4.5, almost 5 years, most recently, as the one-stop operator for a pretty large county here in Southern California. So as you can imagine, a lot of the projects have leveraged my expertise in partnerships and bringing people together to play real nice in the sandbox. So we've had some success in that, specifically in reaching out to partners, how best to do that, how to get invited and attend certain meetings, clearing up the mystique sometimes behind workforce development boards, and how to just be a part of those meetings. I think those are the major areas. And then a lot about connecting, and not just communicating, but connecting with our folks and building relationships. It seems really cliche, but it still is the heartbeat of everything we do, is how those relationships are not only built, but developed and maintained over the years. And I think that just about covers it. I've also done some other things. Amanda's pretty good in other duties as assigned too. It's just Amanda does ask. I'll give it to you. She does ask, and always with a beautiful smile. So I've done a few other things in this community, but that's where I've landed as coach technical assistants. Thank you very much for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Angela. Throwing out there that I asked last minute, huh? Thank you so much. One of the things I've seen, like to Angela's point, some of the other coaches have been instrumental in helping WAF projects become more known in the communities that they serve. They may be new to workforce development, but they've been serving a certain population for a long time. Sometimes they need to build out their connections with the local workforce entities, and our coaches they have deep knowledge of the communities that they're in, and they can help make some introductions. So that's been a great way to leverage coaching. Matt, would you go next, please?
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Poland. My consultancy is MAP Advising, but I've been working as part of Pathways Consultants technical assistance team now for several years. 3 years, actually. I've been working since WAF 7.0 with a couple different organizations, but I've been providing technical assistance for about 7 years at multiple projects, multiple organizations. My last full-time job was with a national organization called JFF, or Jobs for the Future. And my specialty, I feel, is really in the future of work and trying to stay ahead of how the economy is changing, how that changes jobs, and then how that changes the way we do workforce development. And trying to stay ahead of those changes and move with them organizationally, instead of being reactive and trying to catch up later, as the history of workforce development has been. So that's sort of a little bit about my specialty. I've been in workforce development for about 19 years, helping build and manage programs mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area. Prior to joining JFF, I recently moved to Portland, Oregon, but I've been doing a lot of work in California my whole career, particularly when I was with JFF too. I started working more across California, and then of course with WAF. So Amanda asked us to talk a little bit about how organizations have leveraged our expertise. So I've coached 2 different organizations with WAF so far. And the first organization I coached, they were having difficulty with matching their clients with the right jobs, or they were even getting jobs for their clients, and then the clients were losing the jobs right away, even quitting sometimes. They were trying to figure out, why are they, they tell us they come and need work and we get them a job and then they leave it. And through actually one of the WAF communities of practice, we learned about the motivational interviewing technique. And we had a specialist come talk to us more about it. And then I worked with them on kind of exploring that and integrating that into their intake and interview process. And really, the motivational interviewing idea, it actually comes from the substance abuse world, but it's really trying to get to the heart of why certain behaviors happen with an individual, and applying that to job search. Sort of, why are they looking for a particular type of job? What motivates it? Why do they even want to work? Trying to get behind the motivations to kind of better direct them and guide them and get around barriers. Because often if you just ask a person, well, what do you want to do? And go off the top of their head of what they want, you're not really getting the heart of what they're really interested in or what they're motivated by. And they started integrating that more into their practice and the way they not just did intakes, but also how they did their career counseling sessions with their clients. So we worked a lot on that. And they found that really useful in better directing clients and to better jobs, or the right training for the next better job that they need. More recently, the organization I've been coaching, we've been working on identifying opportunities for professional development. The staff are a little newer to workforce development, so we've been going through and finding opportunities to build their skills and to learn. They're very eager to learn and to develop their career counseling skills and to just understand workforce development better. And we've been accessing training and learning opportunities. I'm sharing materials with them, but also training opportunities. And we also, I planned and facilitate a strategic planning meeting with them to talk a little bit more about the referrals they were getting, because they were finding, in a similar way to the other organization, that the folks that they were working with didn't seem that interested in following through, with them. They would have an intake meeting and then not hear from them again. And they were trying to figure out, well, do they really need a job, or why aren't they more motivated to follow through? So we've been working on actually building partnerships, going back to what others have talked about today, getting new referrals and kind of diversifying their referral sources. They were relying heavily on word of mouth. So we've been trying to build their partnerships to get new referrals for job seekers and participants. And that's been going pretty well so far. So, but yeah, please check out my bio that Amanda put in the chat with everyone else's, and hopefully I'll be working with 1 or 2 of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Last but not least, JR, would you be willing to share how you have engaged with your WAF projects around coaching?
Yeah, Amanda, absolutely. Can you all hear me? All right, great.
Yes.
Hey, everybody. JR, it's good to be with you all today. Randomly enough, I actually had an in-person meeting, so that's why I'm on my phone and the angle is a little weird, but super excited to just share a little bit about my experience. I'm not sure if other coaches mentioned this as well, but I actually have been with the WAF team since 7.0, and I started off as a grantee, working with a joint project through a university. And from that experience, I got to see what it's like as a grantee to leverage a coach. And that really inspired me to actually want to become a coach. So I've actually been coaching last year. 9.0 was my actual first coaching opportunity with Pathways here. I'm currently the chief of staff at an organization called Leaders Up, and where we connect talent, typical BIPOC talent, with anti-racist employers. And my experience, I really think, gives me a unique position across the workforce development space, but also just the nuances and intricacies into strategic planning, strategic design, and different areas of communication strategy as well. As many of the coaches mentioned, I really took the approach of coaching as being a thought partner to the organization. My project this year, I've been able to learn just as much from them as I've been able to share as well. So I think it's very much of a mutual beneficial relationship in that regards. Part of what I've been able to share with them, many of what the other coaches have said as well, but just being able to help support on, figuring out different solutions to challenges they may be having. Like my project this year was having a real hard challenge with identifying data sources for critical data that would drive their project forward. So whether, it's leveraging my network or, again, being a connector, leveraging pathways, or even, helping them navigate sort of the state channels in some instances, different ways to try to find the data source. Another piece that I really helped the team with, they were looking to recruit from a specific population. So being able to, again, sort of leverage the network and really expand their capabilities and access to other pools of potential talent for them, I think was very, very, very helpful and resource. One of the ways that I was able to provide value to them. And then lastly, one of the other ways I think that I was able to really provide value to my project this year is just by being a strategist with them. So as they're planning their convening or conference, being able to offer new ideas or present things in ways they may not have thought about it in. And again, sort of having that back and forth ideation moment or session with them to be able to really refine and make sure that not only are they're able to deliver on their goals, but really able to bring new creative strategies to elevate the project in ways that align to their ultimate goals. So I'm super excited to be continuing the partnership and looking forward to working along with many of you all, if not everyone, in this upcoming grant cycle as well. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you, JR. So in the past, we've just talked about coaching, and I didn't invite coaches to come share how projects have tapped into this resource. So I thought that would be helpful for you to just hear all of the nuanced ways that past WAF projects have leveraged coaching as a resource. So let's go back to the slide deck here. So in terms of coaching and affinity groups, I'm going to share, Shauna, do you think you could queue up this interest form? If you are interested in speaking to us about either getting a coach mentor or have a subject matter expertise type of coaching that you'd like to request, or you're not even sure, please reach out to us, fill out this form, and what we'll do is we'll follow up with some calendar dates on Calendly and pick a time that we can talk one-on-one. We can learn a little bit more about your project and see who might be a great fit. I also added the coach bios, like folks mentioned earlier, into the chat. Let's see, a few things just to loop back around. There's the form. Thank you, Shauna. And I'm going to follow up with you all with an email with all this information. So if you missed the link or you can't find it later, don't worry. I'm going to send the video from today. I'll send the bios. I'll send the information that you need, and I'll keep up to date with all of you with all of our events that are coming up. So October 25th will be that virtual community of practice in the morning. We're also hoping to have some in-person meetups around that same time. So the last week of October and November, if you remember the map that I showed, I was actually trying to map where those meetups might be. Meetups are a really casual way to get together with other grantees in very small groups. Hopefully we'll pick COVID safe locations. Usually we've done them in the past at outside dining spots around about 5 p.m. right after work. People come for an hour, 2 hours, meet, chat, say hello. We've done them all over the state in the past. We've not done them since before COVID. They're a lot of fun. Angela is nodding. She's facilitated some in the past. And then we'll also be kicking off that peer learning community. So if you're interested in talking to us about coaching, the subject matter expertise coaching, or getting a coach mentor, click that form. And even if you're just like vaguely just want to talk about it, click the form, fill it out. It's really simple to reach out. And then I'm also just going to put my email in here. I'm your point person for TA. So if you have any questions ever or challenges or anything, you can always email me. You should have my email already. Let's see. And then we have one more thing after this. So the next meeting, October 25th, that form I mentioned to you, the coach mentor coaching, I'll share the video of today. And then we wanted to spend a few minutes today gathering some ideas from you. Every cohort is a little bit different about what topics are emerging for you, what is top of mind for you. And this will help us do some planning for our upcoming peer learning communities when we're thinking about who to invite as guest speakers, what topics. Shauna, would you be willing to share this and introduce it, this last piece?
Yeah, so I just put the link in the chat for everyone. And let me share my screen just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. But it's a space that you can return to over and over again if you have any ideas or suggestions for coaching. Let me pull that up. Actually,
Ruth, can I ask just for a sec, Ruth, do you want to introduce yourself real quick? I see that you're on.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. It's so exciting to be with you all. 10.0. It's been a long accelerator life. More to go. But want to just wish everybody good luck on their projects. I'm with Bay Area Community Resources, part of the TA team. Work very closely with Amanda. And I asked in the chat to put the bios up because we have some incredible coaches. And so I apologize, I was late. I was dealing with some administrative things, but I just want to say that, we have such an amazing crew of coaches and all the other TA supports that, I was just hearing Amanda reference, but it's just such a good bunch of skilled, passionate about workforce team of individuals. So really want to plug them and take a look at the bios and really figure out, who might be a good match based on skills and based on experience. And so just want to plug that and all the other TA opportunities. I'm really excited that we're in this new accelerator cycle. And there's just some incredible projects in this crew. So just really exciting. So congratulations, everybody.
Thank you, Ruth. Nice to see your smiling face.
okay, so here's when you click on the link to the Padlet. This is your Workforce Accelerator idea wall. And so what you'll do when you come here, you'll see this little pink mark down here. You'll click on it and then you can enter in your ideas. So for example, and publish. And your idea will come up here. So for example, say you decide that you want to get some coaching on outreach and recruitment, and someone else comes in later and they go, oh, I could use outreach and recruitment too. You can also put a heart there to show that that's something that you could also enjoy. If there's something that you'd like to add on to that idea, there's a place where you can add a comment underneath. But this is your space to return to over and over again and add your ideas about what topics are emerging, what topics you could use for coaching, and this will help inform the additional resources that we can provide for you.
Yeah, we're really looking for like, what are those themes or topics, especially for the peer learning communities or types of guest speakers that you might be looking at. So feel free to add to that after we're done today, and I'll follow up with the hyperlink. I put the little link in the chat. So I want to thank our team for presenting today and thank all of you for being here today. I want to thank the California Workforce Development Board for sponsoring this work. Let's open it up for some Q&A right now. And feel free to either unmute yourself or put it in the chat. And if you don't have any questions, you can take off and I'll follow up with all of these resources with you. Shauna just put the State Board's YouTube channel. That's where hopefully these videos will get uploaded. Alan, I see your hand raised.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Just have a quick question. For those of you who are in Los Angeles, we're interested in recruiting young adults with disabilities for our program. So if any of you know of referral sources in the Los Angeles area, we'd be interested in hearing from you. And we do job placement, job readiness, job retention, mentoring, so forth.
Alan, would you mind putting your info in the chat? What organization did you say you're with?
We're with Bridges from School to Work.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I already filled out the mentor form and
awesome. Okay.
Asking these same questions. So, and I was also interested if anybody wants to follow up about the guy in Portland who was talking about the intake questionnaire in which they ascertain clients' motivation to work. I'd be interested in learning. I think I and my organization would be interested in learning more about that if anyone is interested in sharing at some point, comparing what we do to what maybe others have done that worked successfully. And I'm in Atlanta, by the way. I don't live in California. I'm just supporting the project and I wrote the grant.
Got it. Okay. Alan, okay, you filled out the form, is that right?
Yeah,
so
and
okay.
Joseph Naves is on here. He's the team lead for this grant, and he is in Los Angeles. He's in charge, and I'm just helping him out a little bit.
Feel free, anybody, to respond to Alan if you have ideas about referral sources in the LA area for young people.
Yeah, we would definitely appreciate any tips and advice on that. And thank you, Alan, for sharing that information. I am Joseph Naves, and definitely we would appreciate any tips or more information on here in LA.
Got it. Okay. Other questions?
This is Becky from the LA Conservation Corps, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I do have a few contacts for you, and I shared my email with Alan.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. I'll email you after the call. Thank you very much, Becky.
Right. Sure, no problem.
I did not pay these people to to demonstrate how the power of connection works. I'm so glad. Thank you, Becky. Other questions? I put in the chat the list from the State Board of 10.0 grantees as well. If you wanted to just take a peek, I don't know if anybody else has in the past looked at who else is a grantee. If there are no other questions, I will see you in October, and we'll be following up one-on-one based on your filling out the form. So watch for an email from me too with all the info from today. Thank you, everyone.